line.
From NBC News in Washington, this is Meet the Press with Tim Russert.
Our issues this Sunday, this is it. Only 48 hours to go. Just 2 days until the midterm elections. Will the Democrats recapture control of the House? With us, the chairs of the House campaign committees, Republican Tom Reynolds and Democrat Rahm Emanuel. Will the Republicans hold control of the Senate? With us, the chairs of the senatorial campaign committees, Republican Elizabeth Dole and Democrat Chuck Schumer. All 4 campaign chairs, only on Meet the Press. But first, earlier this morning, the Iraqi High Tribunal of 5 judges found Saddam Hussein guilty of crimes against humanity for the deaths of more than 148 Shiite men and boys from the town of Dujail in 1982. This was the scene as Saddam was ordered to stand and receive his sentence of death by hanging. Saddam shouting, "Hell to the occupiers, God is great." NBC's Richard Engel was in the courtroom and he joins us this morning. Richard, as we watched Saddam this morning, he also was there seeing, holding, clutching, waving the Koran around in defiance. So Saddam, when he governed, was not a religious man. What kind of symbols was Saddam trying to communicate this morning?
Saddam realizes this is an image that is going to last in the minds of many Iraqis who today are even grasping to understand that this really took place. Saddam wants to leave the impression that he is a pious leader, a religious man, and a nationalist. In addition to holding the Quran, he kept saying, "Long live Iraq, God is greatest, long live the Iraqi people." He's hoping that is the message they're going to keep. But according to the street protests we saw today, people celebrating and firing guns in the air, it is certainly not the impression that most Iraqis have of the former dictator.
His lawyers said he will appeal. What does that mean?
There is an automatic appeal that should take place in about 30 days. That appeal is a 9-judge panel. It is open-ended, but according to Iraqi prosecutors, it might only take several months for the appeals court to uphold this death sentence. If, in fact, that is what happens and the verdict is upheld, then the Iraqi government has 30 days to carry out the punishment. Most analysts here expect that it will happen sometime in the spring of '07.
There were 2 different reactions in Iraq today. First, this was the scene in the Shiite neighborhoods. Celebration, jubilation. And then what happened in the Sunni neighborhoods? Protest, pledging revenge for having done this to Saddam. Will this verdict only encourage the sectarian violence?
According to the prime minister, no. He believes this will help, a Shiite prime minister, help heal some of the wounds. However, Sunni leaders have made it clear they do not accept this verdict. They say it was imposed on Iraq by the United States. They would have liked to have seen this trial postponed until after the end of American occupation, after all troops have left. That is what Sunni leaders have made it clear. Members of the Ba'ath Party that make up quite a large portion of the resistance groups here in Iraq, as they call themselves, have vowed to carry out attacks. But so far, they have those threats have not been they've been taken seriously, but they have not amounted to much violence, at least today so far.
And finally, Richard, the timing of this sentencing, suggestions made that it was scheduled just 2 days before the midterm elections. Iraqis deny that. What are you hearing? What can you report?
U.S. officials and Iraqi government officials both come out repeatedly telling us that this was not timed to coincide with the U.S. elections. However, Saddam's main lawyer today again repeated that allegation, saying that this was clearly politically timed to help the United States. He said that it was politically rushed so that it would give America an exit strategy out of Iraq. However, both U.S. and Iraqi court officials deny that. Tim?
Richard Engel, thank you again for joining us as always, and please be safe. Now back to politics here at home. An exclusive grouping of 4 people charged with overseeing their party campaigns across the country. The chairs of the Senatorial Campaign Committee, Republican Elizabeth Dole, Democrat Chuck Schumer. The chairs of the House Campaign Committee, Republican Tom Reynolds, Democrat Rahm Emanuel. Welcome all. Senator Schumer, this sentencing of Saddam Hussein to death by hanging, are you suspicious of the political timing?
Not really. I mean, look,
Tim. He was a brutal, evil dictator. He's getting the punishment that he deserves. And I don't think the timing makes much of a difference. And frankly, I don't think his conviction makes much of a difference in this election, even though it's a very good thing that it happened. I think when Dick Cheney says we're staying the course this week, when the president refuses to rule out finding a new defense secretary and firing Donald Rumsfeld, that's going to have far more of an effect on the election than this. So I don't think the timing matters.
Do you think this will have an effect on the election, Senator Dole?
You know, I think what this shows is that the Iraqis are putting their past behind them, the establishment of the rule of law. I feel that, you know, this will mean they're moving forward. Certainly a madman who had in his focus the preparation of nuclear weapons. This will, I think, be received as the right thing, and, you know, I don't expect that it's going to have that much effect one way or the other.
Congressman Reynolds?
They're moving towards democracy in Iraq, and Saddam Hussein is getting his justified punishment.
Congressman Manuel?
I think it's good that he's behind bars and getting the justice that he deserves. But I would also like to remind that about 3 years ago, when he was caught, and he's been in jail for 3 years, there were about 800 Americans who were dead at that point. Today, there's a little over 2,800 Americans that died. It won't change the facts on the ground there, and it won't impact the election here. And as Chuck said, and I agree with him, we're still, you know, at that time when he was caught, the president said we had turned the corner in Iraq. And after 3 years, 3.5 years, $380 billion, nearly 3,000 American lives, that was a slogan then, like mission accomplished, and we haven't really accomplished much in Iraq. And even our own defense says, Secretary General on the ground says we're on the brink of civil insurrection. The needle at the Pentagon points towards chaos. It means we need a new direction to our Iraq policy.
We'll talk a lot more about Iraq later, but let's first turn to these elections and go through some of the horse races. 3 political newsletters have come out with their final projections. Here's the Cook Political Report. They say Democrats gain 20 to 35 House seats, 4 to 6 Senate seats. The Rothenberg Political Report puts it at 34 to 40 House seats for the Democratic Party. Senate gain 5 to 7. The Evans and Novak Political Report say Democrats gain 20 seats, in the Senate 5. Congressman Reynolds, in all those, the Democrats with significant gains in the House. Do you agree?
No, I've seen those numbers, I guess, kind of consistent by most of what has been up there. What I look at is there's about 3 dozen hotly contested races across the country. They're in the margin of error, and right now the 72-hour efforts by the Republicans to turn their vote out will make the difference of what it looks like on Election Day. Glenn Bolger, Republican pollster involved in these races, says this is the worst political atmosphere for Republicans since Watergate. Why? Well, there's wind to our face in the second-term, midterm election of a president, the party in power. I think we all, from the Republican side, went into the election understanding that. The reality is we are now with about 3 dozen races that are very close in the margin of error in the House that will be determined on who comes out to vote. Congressman Emanuel, you'll see those projections. You agree?
Well, here's what let me give you 4 quick points and snapshots around the country. Des Moines Register this morning says in an open Republican seat, the Democrat Braley is up by 21 points. In New Hampshire, in Charlie Bass's seat, the University of New Hampshire has consistently the Democrat up by 9. Down in Florida, Ron Klein against Clay Shaw, an incumbent, has Ron Klein up by 10. And Albuquerque Journal has Patsy Madrid against Heather Wilson in Albuquerque up by 4. One thing consistent, Democrats across the board are growing in their margins in each of these races, 4 contested Republican districts. There's 1 to 2 Democratic seats that I am concerned about, with about 48 Republican seats that we are contesting, and I like those margins and those numbers.
So you're confident of a Democratic takeover?
I'm confident that we have that we are playing offense across this country in every region of this country. And let me say one other thing, Tim. You go to history. In '58, there was a big election. '66, a big election. 1974, a big election. 1982, a big election. In 1994, a big election. Every decade, the American people have a big election where they say no to the status quo and yes to a new direction, and this election is a yes to a new direction, which is what Democrats are offering.
Let me turn to the U.S. Senate. Senator Schumer, 2 states that you must hold that currently have Democratic senators are New Jersey and Maryland. Here is our latest poll on New Jersey. Menendez, the Democratic candidate, 48. Tom Kean Jr., 41. In Maryland, the Democrat, Ben Cardin, 47. Michael Steele, the Republican, 44. How concerned are you that in those 2 Democratic states you may get upset?
Well, we think we're going to win both of those states. I think in blue states in particular, the wind is strongly at our back. Democrats, independents, even Republicans in those states want change. And when they find out, as they have, that candidates like these are going to continue a rubber stamp Congress, both have said, Tom Kean Jr. and Michael Steele have said, stay the course in Iraq. People of their states don't like it. Both have supported, or both are against stem cell research. The people in their states don't like it. Kean has talked about privatizing Social Security. Michael Steele is against stem cell research. They are so against what the people in the states want that I believe we're going to keep both of those states.
Senator Dole, there are 7 key battleground states for the Republicans. Let me start with Pennsylvania. Democrat Bob Casey, our latest poll, 52. Rick Santorum, 39. Ohio, Democrat Sherrod Brown, 50. Mike DeWine, the Republican, 44. These are all polls out this morning. Rhode Island, Lincoln Chafee, the Republican, 46. Sheldon Whitehouse, the Democrat, 45. Virginia, Jim Webb, the Democrat, 46. George Allen, the Republican, 45. Missouri, Claire McCaskill, the Democrat, 46. Jim Talent, 45. Montana, Conrad Burns, 47. John Tester, 47. Dead heat. In Tennessee, the Republican Bob Corker, 50. Harold Ford, the Democrat, 38. In 6 of those 7, the Republican is either behind or tied. And with Chafee up 1, what do you think?
We've got some internal polls that certainly differ from some of the ones that you just read.
So you're going to sweep them all?
Let me talk about what is normally regarded as, you guys talk about the firewall with Virginia and Tennessee and Missouri, and we're winning in all those states. Now, I wanted to expand that firewall because I have a much broader firewall. You look at Rhode Island, the state of Montana. These are very, very tight races. And then we've been putting money into 3 blue states. Chuck has had to put millions of dollars into New Jersey, into Maryland, into Michigan. You put a lot of money into the state of Washington. That's millions that doesn't go against our incumbents. So as I look at the situation at this point, sure, this is a very tough cycle, no question. When a president has been reelected, you look through history, and there's no question it's a very tough cycle. But you know, we've got some X factors that really enable us to have an opportunity to break through, to weather the storm. For example, corruption in New Jersey. Tom Kean has been a real reformer on trying to get rid of pay-to-play, where you have to pay in order to pay contributions in order to get contracts. Bob Menendez, his opponent, is under federal criminal investigation. That issue is front and center. You look in Maryland, and you've got a fresh leadership here in Michael Steele in terms of wanting to really shake up Washington, and his opponent, Ben Cardin, has been in government for 40 years. You know, Michael has just gotten the endorsements of some key African-American leaders in Prince George's County, great leader. Up in Michigan, that state, here's the X factor there, the state is really hurting economically. 7.1% unemployment, 3 years of job losses. Debbie Stabenow's policies are not right for growing the economy there.
But nobody in Michigan has it close.
Michael Bouchard is doing a great job, but let me tell you, they're a late closing state. Okay. Remember, John Engler was double digits at this point. He was down double digits and he won. Debbie Stabenow was down at this point, and she won.
You've endorsed all your candidates. but bottom line, will the Republicans hold control of the Senate?
Yes, they will. We will hold the majority.
She's confident. Will the Democrats take control of the Senate?
Well, Tim, we're right on the edge of taking back the Senate. I wouldn't open up the champagne or do the high fives, but we are feeling very good, something we never would have said even 3 months ago. Here's what's happened. This election has evolved into a national referendum on change. And when the election becomes a referendum on George Bush and the rubber stamp Congress, the Republicans lose. And that's what's happened from one end of the country to the other. People are not happy with what's going on in foreign policy, not only Iraq, but North Korea, Afghanistan. The middle class is struggling here at home. Wages are flat. The overall macro numbers are good, but most of that's going to the very high end. And the average American's wages are flat. Tuition costs go up, prescription drug costs go up, energy costs go up. So people want change, and that's why we are so close to taking back the Senate.
Let me talk. I'll come back to the Senate.
There are things that need to be answered there.
I'll come back to the Senate, I promise. Let me turn to the House. Congressman Reynolds, you were considered a shoo-in for re-election. Here's the latest poll from the Buffalo News this morning. Tom Reynolds, 47. Jack Davis, Democratic opponent, 46. What happened?
Well, I moved 15 points according to the same pollster in 2 weeks when most put the obituary on the 26th District of New York. It's all about turnout. And my race is going to be the model, just like 35, 36, 37 races across the country. They're in the margin of error. It's about turnout. One thing you know about Buffalo, it isn't snowing today. There were 400 people in the streets yesterday running the operation of turnout, the vote. And we'll do it today, we'll do it tomorrow. And if that's being done across the country, we're in this race to hold the House. It all gets down for Republicans turning out the vote.
The same poll, however, asked this question. What did they think of your role in the Foley-Page scandal? 31 approve, 57 disapprove. And their concern goes back to this. In the spring of '05, you say that Congressman Rodney Alexander brought to your attention the existence of the emails between Mark Foley and a former page of Mr. Alexander's, that you told the Speaker of a conversation that Mr. Alexander had with me. Speaker Haskett says he doesn't remember that conversation.
Two things. It was the spring of '06. And second, the Speaker has never denied the conversation. What he said, he didn't recall it.
Why did Mr. Alexander, a congressman from Louisiana, go to you, the chairman of a campaign committee, as opposed to the Page Committee or the Speaker? Why would he be thinking politically? Why go to you?
Well, I never outright asked him, but I got the impression maybe he came by to tell me that based on the fact that I know Rodney pretty well. It was one of those